Sometimes ideas find us before we even know what they mean. I've had so many different ideas about the rose, from textures to photos to forms and shapes, but I don't really know how to start or how to organize all these ideas in my mind. So I thought I'd turn them into a little series and call it the Rose Chapter. Right now, I have 3 to 4 different ideas I want to explore. There could be more coming up along the way, you never know. But for this video, I want to focus on the shape of a rose and how you can translate it or mimic it into fabric. And the idea is to make a tulle skirt, which has so much volume, and because of its shape, you can drape the roses within that skirt pattern. So I don't just want to make roses in fabric and then sew them on top of the skirt. I want it to be one big piece of fabric that, but due to draping and shaping, you create a skirt that has these roses integrated into them. How it's gonna work, or if it's gonna work, I don't know yet, but that's part of the journey for this video, to see where I will end, where it will lead me to, and how the idea will evolve. So I started by twisting tulle into the shape of a rose, just to see where it could go. But something about it didn't click. I couldn't see how this could become a skirt. So I decided to change the fabric to taffeta. So when I changed the fabric to taffeta, I wanted to see how the fabric would behave compared to the tulle. And I was able to create a pretty realistic rose out of the fabric. What I didn't expect was how emotionally confusing it was to change between these two fabrics. Because it was so easy and quick to make the rose out of the taffeta and it looked so realistic, it almost felt wrong for liking it. And also I felt something that is so obvious can't be interesting. So I decided to take a break from it and didn't look at it for a couple of days, didn't think about it, and just let it sit. And that's when I realized that I was trying to force the original version with the tulle skirt onto the draped taffeta rose. And those two ideas, you can't really merge them into one. So I had to let go of the first idea and just look in front of me how the rose came out in the taffeta and work with that. And that's how I came up with this idea now. So I'm making a black rose top. Still, I want to use one big piece of fabric and merge and drape it into the rose shape. That will then create a top bodice piece. Before I could start draping the rose in black taffeta, I had to make a corselet for its base and adjust the mannequin so it would fit me perfectly. So yesterday while I was sewing the pattern pieces together, I decided that it might be better to double up on the fabric to give it more stability. So I cut the pieces out again, and now I'm basting all the pieces together. I am super nervous starting with the draping of the rose. I don't know why. I'm just worried something doesn't work or it's gonna look stupid, but I am nervous. But I won't find out how it's gonna be if I don't start. And if I don't start, I cannot fix anything in case I have to fix it. So I'm just gonna start now. I have to start over. After draping for 4 to 5 hours yesterday, I realized that it's gonna look like an 80s prom dress, and that wasn't the idea of this project. And I also realized that I did not stick to my original design sketch drawing, and instead decided to keep the upper part flat and smooth and then have the draping come out underneath, but that kind of looked like an 80s prom dress. So I looked back to my pictures and saw that if you have like an organic shape all over, and then there's a certain shape of a flower coming out, it looks a lot more organic and more modern compared to an 80s prom dress where everything is just flat and you kind of force the taffeta into just like a plain straight fabric. I feel like that's not the character of the fabric. It wants to just move and create like pleats and different volumes. So I have to start over again, which will be, yeah, today's job, and see what comes out of it. I hope this time it's gonna work. But yeah, the 80s dress was not great yesterday. After another 6 hours of draping and pinning and undoing and then draping it again, I finally completed the rose top. I also finished the back of the top where the rose naturally like evolves into, but with less volume. At the beginning, I felt quite nervous about the whole process and that I might have to redo the top several times, which I did. I think I've redone the rose probably like 8 times. But I actually quite enjoyed the process because it wasn't as overwhelming as I thought it might be. So once I started and committed to it, I really enjoyed it. And taking the pictures also was a lot of fun. Like going out in public and taking pictures the way you envisioned them was scary, but it felt so good afterwards and while we filmed it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, the whole project. And yeah, I would love to hear if you have been through anything similar, or if you have any projects that you're working on currently, or you have a project on your mind, but you don't know where to start. So just drop it in the comments, and I would love to hear from you. And here's now the rose top. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I'm still figuring this all out, but I'm glad you're here at the start.